I'd like to call the April 15th Internal Services Committee to order. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you. Before we get started, I'd like to welcome some guests that we have in the audience. We have some commissioners from the Wayne County Board. We have Tim, Pamela, and Octavia. So thank you for coming. They're here today checking out our agenda management system. It's gone pretty well for us, so hopefully it's something you guys can use and find useful. If you have any questions throughout, please feel free to ask Patty. If you have any questions afterwards, I'm available, and so are other commissioners and staff. So thank you for coming today. With that, we'll go to item 3, the adoption of the agenda. I'll take a motion to approve. Motion from Leon, support from Harold. Please vote. Motion passes 10-0. Next is the approval of the minutes dated March 11th, 2019. I'll take a motion to approve. Motion from Commissioner Leonetti, support from Commissioner Romano. Please vote. Motion passes 10-0. Next up is public participation. Anyone from the public wishing to speak? Anyone from the public going once, going twice? We will close public participation. On to, what? On to 6A, department recommendations. Contract, Lutz Roofing Company Incorporated, roof replacements, $417,100. I'll take a motion to recommend to full board the approval. Motion from Commissioner Duge, support from Commissioner Sauger. All right, Lynn. Lynn, can you kick your microphone on? Push the button in the middle there. Perfect, thank you.
The purchasing department. That's right. The purchasing department solicited bids on the Benton site for the 2019 roofing program. This program includes the Comtech building and also the jail tower roof, which sometimes is referred to as the 13th floor roof. This solicitation was issued March 4, and sealed bids were received and publicly read in the purchasing department March 21st. 342 vendors were actually notified of this solicitation. 21 vendors viewed the documents, and 4 bids were received. We are requesting authorization to issue a purchase order to Lutz Roofing. They were the low bidder at both locations, and at a combined bid amount of $417,100. Lutz Roofing has performed work for the county in the past, and they're also, and I'm glad to say, they're also a Macomb County contractor.
Thank you, Lynn. We have a couple of questions. Commissioner Carabelli.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, and I appreciate all the information, the backup that you gave us. My question for you is, how often, how many years does this work, how long will it last?
It should last 20 years.
20?
Yeah.
Okay.
The actual, for the jail tower, that is actually the original roof.
On the jail tower itself?
Yes, on the tower portion only.
That's the biggest portion. That's the larger of the two amounts, correct?
No, actually.
The 209 or 7?
Oh, the first bid was for Comtech. That's base bid number 1. And the jail is base bid 2.
Okay. With that said, with the jail, in light of us possibly having to do something, is this something that is because we're having issues, or you're just preventative, taking care of business like usual?
We're definitely having some issues. Obviously, we maintain the roofs annually, but it is a very old roof. We don't believe we can make it 5 years.
Okay, I just want to, caution the commissioner. Here's an example that you didn't anticipate of 200. I'm sorry, somebody help me out. I can get my glasses back on. 200, 204,000? No, that's the one portion of it.
The base bid 2 is for the jail.
$207,900, so $208,000 just for the roof portion of it. This is, you're going to see these things come in that aren't actually on there, and you're going to see them start adding up to real dollars. This is what I was saying before. We keep nickel and diming all and kicking the can down the road. This is where it'll keep coming up. You'll see more stuff coming up, and it's going to be, from hundreds of thousands to millions of dollars for the maintenance of it. I just wanted to point that out. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Commissioner Duje.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It probably, how old is this roof on the jail?
It's from about 1987.
Okay. Is this a flat roof
Yes,
on both of them?
yes.
Well, that explains a whole bunch. As you know, we're in discussions now as far as we know to replace the jail and on and on. Does that make any difference in the bid or any of this discussion? Or is it just fix it and be done with it?
Well, it's re-roofing it.
Is it a tear-off?
Yeah, well, it's a 3-ply built-up roof system.
Okay. Okay. It's got to get done, it's got to get done, because they never turn out better. Thank you, Len. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Commissioner Kleinfeld.
Thank you, Chair. My first question is, this is a motion to approve a purchase order, and I don't think we've ever done purchase order as opposed to a contract or something. What's the distinction?
We normally do purchase orders. It certainly has the elements of a contract.
You're just referring to it as a purchase order?
Yes.
Okay. And I thought, Commissioner, and I've lost it, Carabelli, I thought that this one was budgeted for this year.
It is in our general fund, yes.
Okay, so a little confusion as to what you were speaking to, if you don't mind him repeating it. That's all I have. Thank you.
There's millions and millions of dollars that are budgeted for that she'll see if she gets to it or not as she goes through it. She puts them in as placeholders, and she'll wait and see at the time to see if it's necessary to get done. She's not going to say she's spending the $14 million we budgeted out for the jail hypothetically. But the reality is they're on a list, and as she goes through it, she makes a determination, no, it can't wait. It's got a slot. We're going to go ahead and get it done. My thing is that as we go through this, these are the numbers that are adding up on the jail, even though it's budgeted for.
Oh, the jail, okay, got it. Got it, thank you for the clarification.
All right, Commissioner Drollet.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thanks for your presentation, Lynn. Just for context, according to Steve, we put about $2 million a year over the last 5 years into the jail in these type of projects to keep it operating and so forth. On average, obviously, sometimes more, sometimes less. So, just putting that in context, this is right along the lines of what we've been having to put in. Thank you.
All right, seeing no other questions or comments, thank you, Lynn. Please vote. Motion passes 12-0. Next is 6B, motion to recommend to full board the contract approval for Wakely Associates Incorporated Architectural Engineering Services for tuck pointing project, $63,000. Take a motion to approve. Motion from Commissioner Kleinfeld, support from Commissioner Sauger. Lynn, go ahead.
What we are requesting is design services and to formally develop the formal bid documents that we can put on the mitten site so we can go out for bids. This addresses building envelope issues. Primarily, it's masonry tuck pointing. When you have the mortar between brick joints and block, when they start to deteriorate or weaken, it allows moisture to deteriorate the brick and block, and then you end up with moisture issues inside the building. So we want to go out for bids and get the formal documents developed. The buildings that we are actually targeting for this year is Old Central Receiving. There's some block repair. We have the jail annex, We have the administration building, but that's primarily some caulking issues. We also have the court building. When the parking structure was demolished, it actually gave us a better view of what was happening on that side of the building. So we have some issues to address there, and also the Comtech area. Now, certainly all the buildings will be inspected, and then we might add a few more items. Architects typically work on a percentage of construction cost. I don't know if you had an opportunity to look at the contract, but there's a sliding scale, and I took 7%, and that's if construction work falls between $200,000 and $900,000, they charge 7%. I took the 7% of $900,000. I don't mean to scare you, it could come in much lower, but I believe it's going to fall within that range.
Thank you. Commissioner Carabelli?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And again, she mentioned the annex at the jail. Here's an area where we're going to be doing maintenance work to keep this thing going. And again, this is adding up, and I'm just going to keep pointing this out until we end up doing something with the jail. So, thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Duge?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We've had tuck pointing done before.
Yes.
Did we approach the people who had done it before with this, or hopefully they'll bid on it?
Well, this is for the design service and to develop the formal bid documents. Then it'll go out on the Mittens site for bids, and the bids would be brought back to the committee.
Okay, so this is just the formality
Yes.
of the RFQ,
Yes.
the purchase order, or whatever you want to call it. All right, but we haven't gotten in touch with the people who had done it previously.
No, obviously, when it goes on the Mittens site, most of our vendors are alerted.
All right. Well, I want to talk to you about tuck pointing after the meeting anyway. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Lynn.
Thank you. Commissioner Romano?
Thank you, Chair. Hi, Lynn. I just want commissioners to be aware of the fact, we're talking about 5 buildings, and I don't know about you guys, but I've had to do some tuck pointing in my own house. And I'll tell you what, if I didn't catch it in time, we get a couple of winters coming through, that little 1.5-inch spread is going to go to 4 and 5 inches. And again, we're talking 5 buildings. Not only they're going to tuck point, if we read the backup material here, they're going to do wall reconstruction, brick replacement, sealant removal and replacement, prep and repainting of steel lintels and flashing, repair, water. There's going to be a lot of stuff involved here. And you're talking, again, 5 buildings. And you know what they say about an ounce of prevention. And in this case, it is really an ounce of prevention. That's all I have. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Commissioner Gillette?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just to remind all the commissioners, Carabelli, that we could, we've been putting $2 million a year in the jail. We could put $3 million a year in the jail for the next 5 years and then build a new jail without raising taxes if we can wait 5.5 years by increasing by 50% the upkeep that we put in and wouldn't have to raise taxes at all. Just a FYI, Jim.
Point of information, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Commissioner.
To make it, you have the young lady in front of us who's been here longer than any of us, and at the end of the day, when we say we budget $2 to $3 million a year, ask her how many $500,000 to $1.5 million projects pop up out of nowhere we don't expect, and we end up spending $6 to $7 million a year on the jail.
Point of information, Mr. Chair. The average, according to Steve, is about $2 million a year over the last 5 years. That's the average. So, yeah, there includes all the little things that pop up.
Infrastructure is fun. All right. I see no other questions or comments or points of information. We have a motion and support. Please vote.
Try doing finance.
You don't have this much fun in Wayne County.
They're not saying anything. Motion passes 12-0. Thank you, Lynn. All right, next is item 6C, recommendation from IT Capital Purchases Work Group. So I'll take a motion to approve the findings of the work group. Motion from Commissioner Duge, support from Commissioner Lucido. So Commissioner Duje, Commissioner Brown, myself, Jaco, and Deputy Executive Deldon sat down to work on the next item, the 2019 capital outlay, to sort of clean up the previous recommendation, make it simpler for commissioners and for IT to basically keep it all square. And we came up with approving purchases by unit pricing for certain things in the tables provided. And he also has a maximum budget for other items, including those in the table, for year 2019. So we tried to make it as clean as possible for us, for IT, so we can keep track of it best we can, so Jaco and his staff can keep track of it. And Commissioner DJ, you have anything else to add to that?
Basically, I think it was a great idea to have the work group get together. We went through, to make this easier on everybody, there are certain things that Jaco has got to get as time goes on, and this basically smooths it out so that he can get what he needs without having to come, without having to beg for every piece of equipment that he needs or that is coming down the pike. He will still be in front of us, he will still come before us, but he doesn't have to come in and make a request for the same thing, add one here or one there. It basically groups it together and says, okay, the buy will go up to this point. And it basically, I think it will make everything a lot smoother, both on his end and on our end. And I commend you, Commissioner, for getting a work group together and actually going through this. And making it so that everybody can understand it. Instead of having discussions every other meeting, we'll have one discussion and cover the whole thing. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Jaco, did you have anything to add, or are you okay till we get to the big project?
Yeah, I just want to say from my side too, thank you, Commissioner Kraft and the work group that worked with us. I think it was very productive and very helpful for us to go through this process, and maybe some of the things that came out of this meeting is also helpful for us moving forward on how to submit things to the board. To make it more clear cut, we all have different jobs and come from different angles, so thank you very much, really appreciate it.
Thank you, Jaco. And just so commissioners know, Crystal was also a part of this work group too, so
Yes.
as she's the staffer working with IT and so forth, she can work through that process as well. Commissioner Sauger, do you have a question, comment? You're on my list. No? Okay. Commissioner Leonetti.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to echo our gratitude for you, Commissioner Kraft, or Chairman Kraft, and Commissioner Dujay, and as you as well, Jacobs, for sitting down and doing this. This one, where we have IT issues, we have a lot of questions, and so hopefully by doing it this way, most of our questions can be answered, and we don't have to take up any of your time, because we know you're busy. All righty. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Kleinfeld?
I just wanted to say, if we're gonna, if this worked to everybody's satisfaction, I hope that we're gonna memorialize this process so that we use it next year, because we seem to start at ground zero again every year, and all the things that we discussed somehow get forgotten or anything, and I'm glad that Crystal was there, but I hope we do something to memorialize this, if it is something that made everybody happy and we can all agree upon it. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, we can definitely work to that. No need to reinvent the wheel 10 times. All right, seeing no other questions or comments, please vote. Motion passes 12-0. All right, next is item 6D. Motion excuse me. Motion to recommend to full board the approval of the purchase of any items as listed on the tables in the attached summary for the calendar year 2019, as long as purchases do not exceed the IT general fund budget for the identified line items. I'll take a motion to approve. Motion from Commissioner Gillette, support from Commissioner Ha. Jaco, do you have anything to add?
Not at this time, just very appreciative of this process, and I'm sure it'll help us a lot moving forward.
Thank you, Jaco. Any questions or comments from commissioners? I don't see any on my list. All right, we have a motion and support. Let's vote. Motion passes 12-0. All right, thank you all. Next is 6E, Agreement Information Technology Maintenance Agreements for second quarter part 2, $653,057.88. I'll take a motion to recommend the approval to full board. Motion from Commissioner Duge, support from Commissioner Romano. Questions or comments? Jaco, you want to explain?
Yeah, just last month when I was here, I mentioned that the Microsoft quotes are not ready yet. They usually take a little bit longer. And so this is the quote from Microsoft, is the larger one. It's Dell EMC is the one that provided the quote. And this is, even better pricing than we get with my deal from the state of Michigan. There's also a second one in here, which is Onyx Network Corporation, and it's for Virtru. Although it's only $18,000, the reason I brought it to this committee is we spent $170,000 beginning of the year in January on Onyx for our Google environment. So obviously the $18,000 is more than 10% of that spend. So just want to bring that to the board as well, because that is also paid directly to Onyx, the same vendor.
Thank you, Jaco. Any questions or comments? I don't see any on my list. All right, we have a motion and support. Please vote. Motion passes 12-0. Next is item 6F, Budget Amendment, Information Technology, Prosecutor's Scan Index and Retrieve Solution. I'll take a motion to move this to full board. Motion from Commissioner Leonetti. Is there support? Support from Commissioner Lucido. Jaco?
The prosecutor e-filing project is an ongoing effort to support enhancements and required functionality for their office. What we're going to do here is the IT department is going to take on this project of implementing the scan, index, and retrieve environment, or enhancing that environment so that it aligns with their current business processes. It will also replace the prosecutor's Curiax file room, which is a set of shared county network folders where they currently scan and store some of their case document files. As you can see in the documentation, we've identified around $70,000 per year in savings with this project, which provides an ROI obviously within less than 2 years of starting this project.
Thank you, Jaco. Commissioner Ha?
Thank you, Chairman. Jaco, it says here in our notes that it was spanning from 2014 to 2018. Will that be completed this year?
That project is completed.
Is
It was
completed.
completed in 2018. So what we're doing now with that environment is, because it took so long, there's a lot of things that's out of step with what a prosecutor office wanted at that point in time. So what we're doing with this is align the business processes to make sure that it works better for their office.
So is it upgrading what was done in 2014?
Yeah, it's changing because there's the whole scan, index, and retrieve environment is something that we always wanted to do. It was just timing was the difficulty. So now that's going to move forward, and they will be able to really completely have all their documentation information available, so that and searchable, so that they can find documents and everything in this system.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Any other questions or comments from commissioners? I don't see any on my list. Nope. All right, we have a motion and support. Please vote. Motion passes 12-0. Thank you, Jaco.
Thank you, Commissioner.
It's easier, Jaco, isn't it?
That's the goal. Next item is new business. Any commissioners with new business? Chair Smith?
Thank you. For those of you that were at Green Schools this past week, you will agree that it was one heck of a successful event. For those of you not there, you missed the opportunity to see some of the greatest 122 schools participate, and all the kids that have done such great work, and all the teachers in the classrooms. Every year, I tell you, you're due to work or whatever, I understand we have other obligations, but you're missing a very big board driven function that the staff does such a great job on for us, and the place is packed. All the kids and the teachers, I mean, find time. They have to find substitutes to cover for them to come to this to get these awards, and it was an event that I got such great reviews from all of the teachers that I spoke to afterwards. So I would highly recommend putting it on your calendar early for next year. I think 4 of us were there as commissioners. Commissioner Hawk, who was there? Commissioner Kleinfeld. Who am I missing? Oh, Commissioner Leonetti. No, Myjack. Yeah. You guys are kind of interchangeable. So you grew up together. So Patty, again, you, Laura, the staff, thank you very much for making us look good.
Bob, just to follow up on that, one thing, just through the chair, thanks to the staff, you guys did a great job on that. I would be willing to spend some time. I would like to, if it's possible, Patty, I'm just speaking for myself, go to maybe some of the schools, see some of the projects they worked on to be environmentally conscious in the schools, see some of the kids do the art projects, you know, that they're contestants to win, you know. So I'd be willing to do that if you're able to make that happen. Count me in for that. So thanks.
We can put that out. Laura actually does a bulletin to all of our green schools. It's an enormous listserv, distribution list, and we can put that out there. So if anyone else is interested, just let me or Courtney know, and we can work to get that.
We wouldn't be able to see every school or every project, but certain ones, like I think I saw, like they had a compost or with worms or something. Not that I want to see worms.
We can target it to your district.
It's like a science fair.
Yeah,
I want to see it like if they have something like that, some schools where they have their projects there for us to see. I don't know. So.
Chair Smith.
Yeah, so one more commissioner event is Yoga at the Hill, and if you've never been to that, I mean, there's usually 300 to 400 people there that show up for free yoga outside. It's at Freedom Hill on June 8th. Put it on your calendar early. It's another great way to get out and see, you know, the people come from all over the county to participate in that.
We've got a special on tights.
You, all right, how are they? Did you try them yet? Okay, good. Thank you.
Commissioner Romano will be with us next year. Commissioner Leonetti and I did it last year, but he will actually be participating. Any other commissioners with?
Just going to say it's also a great opportunity to get incriminating pictures of fellow commissioners, as some of you know, that I still have to hold against you.
Can't wait till those are made public. Any other commissioners with new business? All right, seeing none, we'll go to public participation. Anyone from the public wishing to speak? All right, seeing none, thank you again to our neighbors from Wayne County for sitting in on the meeting. I'll take a motion to adjourn. Motion from Commissioner Drollet, support from Commissioner Dujay. We are adjourned.